Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to everyone's favorite show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. This is Nip Talk. On today's episode, some great topics. First off, a $2 million malpractice verdict was just handed down for the first case for a child gender transition surgery. This is a pretty big deal, and we're going to talk about it. And then, Ozempic in 2026. What's new? There actually is a pretty cool breakthrough, and we're going to talk about it. And then finally, the morning shed, what is that? It's the newest TikTok sensation that's targeting teens with this extreme, crazy skincare routine. I'm going to tell you what that's all about. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and with me as always is Kalee Fair. How are you? It's good to see you back. How was your trip?
It was good. It was warmer than here.
Yeah. You missed some really bad weather, which is really nice.
That was the point.
Yeah. Excellent. In the box, Brenna. How are you, Brenna? Doing okay?
Yes, doing good.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Yeah, you ready for an exciting episode?
I am.
All right.
Yes.
Well, let's dive into it.
We've got some fun topics today.
We do. All right.
The last one I think I'm most intrigued about.
Yeah, me too.
Have you heard about that one, Brenna?
I have.
You have?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I have not, though.
Okay,
I'm
all
in
right,
the dark.
good. Then we're going to have some good views. All right, well, let's start out with a really big story. I mean, this is huge, and this is a controversial topic, so I'd love for you guys to weigh in. If you want to sit on the sidelines a bit on this one, I totally understand, because this is a controversial topic, but it's something we've talked about in the past on this show, and this is about a $2 million malpractice verdict for a child gender transition surgery. And this is something actually, and I'm going to show a video from a clip in just a minute from when I was talking about this 3 years ago, but this is something I kind of predicted was going to happen. So I think it's worth breaking down. So this comes out of New York, which also I think that that's important because, I mean, as we all know, there are states that are more okay with certain topics, right? And if I had to predict which state, slapped down a malpractice verdict for a child transition surgery, my first thought would have been New York, which I think is interesting because if this happened in New York, I think it's much more likely to happen in other states. And there are, by what most people think, about 30 of these cases ongoing right now. So this is going to be news that's going on. All right, so 22-year-old now, Fox variant, who is a woman but identified as a boy in her teen years, just won a $2 million malpractice lawsuit against her psychologist and her plastic surgeon. Okay, so it's kind of important, saying that she was pushed into getting a double mastectomy at 16 years old.
Wow.
16.
So that's coming from the actual child themselves. The suit.
Yes.
Not a child anymore.
Not a child anymore.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, who could have predicted this?
Ding,
right.
ding, ding.
We talked about this almost 3 years ago. I want to roll. This is a clip from a show, and the show was about gender transition in kids specifically, and I kind of spliced together. So roll that video, Brendan, if you would. As a doctor, as a physician, I'm against it. I'm against doing the more long-lasting things like hormone therapy and surgery. Here's why I say this. In the United States, the age of consent for someone to have a medical procedure is 18 years old, and there's a set reason for that. A minor very well may not have the intellectual capability to understand a procedure, understand the risks and benefits, and understand the long-lasting effects. I worry about the legal implications down the road. I see the potential lawsuits down the road. I do occasionally review cases for malpractice for plaintiffs because I like to make sure that plastic surgery is done properly. And so, in an instance where a lawsuit came up where somebody 10 years after surgery said, my life is ruined because I had this, and this doctor did this to me.
Took advantage of me or something.
Right, this doctor did this to me, and I was a child. How could I have consented to that? What would I say? At the end of the day, they're right. I mean, they can't make that decision at that age. All right.
Go buy your lottery ticket.
I know, right? Well, I mean, I knew this was coming. I mean, there's very few times where I say this is absolutely going to happen, but at that point I would have said this is absolutely going to happen, and of course it is happening. And this case was not 100% what I said, because I really do believe that about decisions being made for kids that are just so life-altering and so irreversible. In fact, I went on to talk about 3 things about why I was against specifically like the hormone therapy and the surgery for kids. And I think no matter what side of the spectrum you sit on this, because I'm pretty neutral. I mean, I personally think if you're an adult, go do what you want. Within reason, if you're not hurting anybody. I have zero problem with an adult making the decision to transition. I think there's definitely guardrails and stuff. But I mean, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh no, this is wrong or whatever. I mean, live your life, man.
Yeah.
Be you, do what you want. But, with kids, I think it's different. I mean, there's
100%
just
different.
Yeah, it's just different, right? And so there was 3 things that I mentioned then that I'm going to mention again. And my biggest concern is the consent. A child can't consent. So someone's making that decision for them, which is the parents. But the second one, which I didn't mention in that clip, is the rate of what's called detransitioning or desisting, where basically a person who thinks they're a different gender decides, oh, maybe I'm not that gender, which is exactly what happened to Fox Variant. As a child, she was like, I'm living my life as a boy, and then a couple years later, she wasn't. But at that point, you've irreversibly gone down a road that you can't back out of very easy, at least from, a...
So I have a question really quick about the story. So she went after not just the plastic surgeon, but also her therapist or psychologist?
Yeah, psychologist. So there's a lot of good stuff to unpack, but keep going.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, because I really wanna know, only because, when I was 19, I wanted to have a breast reduction. And it was a very big decision. Like my plastic surgeon said, I'm not doing this, even though I was like 100% I want to.
Really?
He refused for that because
we could have a whole
I was
nother
19,
segment on that.
Right? And I had to go through, as a psychologist.
They made you do all that.
I had to do all these things first before they would even entertain.
Do you mind, how many years ago was that?
I was 19, so I just turned 40 last year. So it was in 2004.
So over 20 years.
Yeah, so over 20 years. And it was because I hadn't went through my childbearing years. You know what I mean? There's all these things that, do you really want to go through with something? All right,
we're going to do a segment next week on that because I have some really interesting things to say about that. But
that's why I want to ask about the psychologist.
But to your question, I mean, there are guidelines set forth for, okay, a child wants to, has gender dysphoria and wants to make a transition, and these guidelines need to be, followed. The problem is, there's 2 problems. I can tell you because I know this from being in the business. One, those have evolved tremendously over the years. What they were when she did them are not the same as what they are today. And also, I know for a fact that not everyone is following them because, I had someone come into my office, not recently, but somewhat recent past, and it was an adult. And they were asking about transition surgery, top surgery. And I was like, look, if you want to do this, there are checklists that you have to do. Like, I wouldn't even consider it unless you did all these. And you know what they told me? They're like, well, I went to a surgeon here in town and they said I don't have to do any of that. Which means that there are people out there not following the guidelines, right? And then the guidelines are in flux. And so, I mean, that's a really big problem. But I'm gonna circle back real quick.
Sorry,
No, you're good. I like when you ask questions because it opens up great conversation. But talking about the 3 concerns I have with the hormone therapy and transition in surgery in kids, the consent, the rate of desisting. But the third one is, and I think it's important to know, the data supporting the benefits of those really extreme changes is very weak. When it first came out, it was like tiny studies, like 10 people. And everyone's like, oh, well, this study says that this is a good thing and there's benefits. Well, then what happened is there's a bunch of studies that came out in Europe where this really took off, and the data didn't say that it was beneficial. And that's why Europe backed off. I mean, we did a whole segment about that a year ago, that Europe suddenly said no mas on kids specifically. So those are my 3 concerns. But going back to the case, which is what you were asking about, I mean, the psychologist took the brunt of that decision, actually, because it was broken down. It was broken down into how much fault and money each party had to pay, and it was 70% the psychologist and 30% the surgeon. And you want to know why? And this is the saddest part. Varian's mom was against her having the surgery, but she had to make the consent because Varian was a child at the time, and she says in court that she did it because the therapist told her that her daughter would commit suicide if she didn't. And
Wow.
she was basically
Just got chills.
she was guilted into like making a decision that she didn't want to make because she was told by authorities that if she didn't, her daughter was going to kill herself. And another interesting fact is the head of the ASPS, I forget his name, so apologies, I'm not in the academic world, but his name's been popping up lately because he specifically came out recently and said that gender transition surgery is not, a preventative for suicide. Like this guy who's like the head of the plastic surgery, which is the people who are doing this, is like, no, this is not a preventative thing for suicide. It's just not what it's used for. So, yeah, I mean, this is a huge case, and it's gonna like echo throughout. Because what's gonna happen now that this verdict hit, and this I see this in other ways where a surgeon gets caught doing something bad, and then suddenly 10 more people come out of the woodwork and say, oh, I was also harmed by the surgeon, and then it multiplies. The same thing's gonna happen here. Yeah. There's already 30 cases that are going. I know for a fact one is in Texas because somebody in the media was asking me about this, and I was like, I think there's a Texas case, and so I searched, and there is one that's like kind of ongoing. But these things take years, right? But like this is gonna open up a lot more lawsuits. Because the thing is like what's going to happen from here. I mean, lawsuit floodgates are going to open. I do think restrictions are going to tighten. I think the era of the guy that came into my office and said, oh, the other surgeon told me I didn't have to do any of this, I think that's going to be gone. People are going to get a lot more strict because they realize that they could get hit with these big lawsuits. I
also don't think it's a bad thing to be more strict when it comes to children. Again, as you said with
I
adults,
don't either. I mean,
do what you want, right? But children.
Yeah, and exactly the same. Like, I think for adults, do what you want. I mean, follow the data to make sure that you're making a decision that's, more beneficial than not. But I mean, I personally don't have a problem, and I almost never believe in bans or anything like that. That's just not. I'm a very kind of libertarian guy, so I don't believe in a lot of laws that ban stuff. I think that that's bad. But this would probably be the one exception where, if there was like some new federal law that said, okay, you can't do a irreversible life-changing surgery on a child until they're of age, I'd be like, you know what, that's actually a pretty good idea. I mean, personally, I mean, I know it's a sticky subject, but I just don't see the benefit in this. I see a lot of potential downside, and you can always delay these things. I mean, I think that a lot of the big push by the more activist doctors was like, oh, this is going to save lives, right? Because I mean, you look at the data on kids that have gender dysphoria, they do have a higher suicide rate. I mean, that's well established. Yeah. Now there's a lot of debate in like how high that is. Again, looking at data is just one of those things where, even as someone who used to write research papers, it's kind of mind-numbing because a paper can, have some data and then make a conclusion, and just the way the data is collected or presented, like you never know if it's like, is this real or not real? Yeah. So it gets really muddy, and so what you have to do is you have to wait until there's a lot of studies out there. And so, as the years have gone by, the studies that have come out on this is, more and more cases were done. It's not really like reinforcing that this is a good idea. So, and people always ask like, okay, is this really happening in the United States? And for a lot of years, it was kind of unknown. But I did find some actual hard data that said specifically for what she had done, which is basically a female to male breast removal mastectomy surgery, that there's been at least 5,000 of those done on minors, kids, not adults, minors in the United States in the last approximately 8 years. Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Like I thought it was going to be on the order of like a couple or hundred, a few hundred. And when I found that data point just this past week, I was like, oh man, this actually is happening a lot,
It's a tough spot, I think about everyone that's kind of involved.
It is, and you feel for these, kids who really, have gender dysphoria. Yeah. I mean, it's like a crippling thing. Oh, I mean, it's not a joke, right? And, but again, I like to think of everything very neutrally. Like I stay out of the political side of this because I really don't like either political side.
I just don't think there needs to be a hard line. I think that there's kind of a weird gray area for these type of things.
Yeah, there definitely is. But But yeah, this case is big. It's big. It's gonna like be talked about.
And when did this happen? This week?
Friday.
Friday. Okay.
Last Friday
Wow.
it came down.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is going to be talked about a lot. It already is. My social media is blown up about it, and part of that is the algorithm, right? Like I was looking at it, so like every freaking post I see now is about this lawsuit, and like you got people on both sides.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are people swaying a certain way in how they feel about this, or is it kind of just like what we're saying?
It's what you'd expect.
Yeah.
The people who want to see it go down are like cheering it, and the people who are want this to be available, or like this is a bad thing, or they're trying to pick it apart or whatever. But the problem is it's not going to be a one-off.
Yeah.
It's going to be more, and it's going to be more. I think in the next year you're going to just see a continual trickle of these malpractice cases that are settling, but then a floodgate of new ones. So, Brenda, anything you want to weigh in? You don't have to if you don't want.
No, I agree. This is I feel like this is a hard spot for me to kind of bounce in on, because I don't know. It's sad, but
it's a big topic.
It is, yeah.
It's like,
It's a big topic, but it's a hard one. I think it's like these type of stories are very unique to the situation. Like
Exactly.
It's not like a blanket. You can't just be like, oh, let's blanket this. Like
right.
no.
And you want to see all sides of things.
Yeah,
and I definitely do. Like I really do dig into this. As I said, like I have no issue with people that want to live their life however they want to live their life. But at the point that it's a child and these irreversible decisions are being made, man, I just can't get on. I can't get on board knowing what I know.
Yeah.
So.
Thinking from a parent's perspective, I'm just what a tough spot. Like,
All right, let's recap this real quick. So a $2 million malpractice verdict just came down in the state of New York for a child gender transition surgery. This is pretty big. So there was a patient named Varian Fox who is now a woman and was born a woman, but lived her life as a boy in her teenage years, that got a double mastectomy at 16 years old. That's a huge step, and something I've talked about in past episodes that I am personally against for multiple reasons, for things like they can't legally consent, the rate of detransitioning in kids, and then the just potential long-term bad outcomes that can come about from doing this when you're a child. So the patient basically said she was pressured into doing this by her psychologist and her surgeon. Her mom was against her having the surgery, but she consented because, per the court reports, the psychologist told her daughter would commit suicide if she didn't have the surgery. So this is a pretty crazy case. There's a lot of bad things that happened in it. And certainly it could have been handled in a lot better way, which may have not resulted in the malpractice verdict. But here's the thing, with this big malpractice verdict, this is just going to be the first of many. There's already 30 other cases in the United States going on for this specific thing. I think we're going to see the floodgates open. So I don't know, it's a touchy topic, very controversial. I personally am against kids having gender transition surgeries and even hormone therapy because they are irreversible and they are lifelong changes, but we'll see how this plays out. All right, to a less controversial and heavy topic. So we've done a million segments about Ozempic, but I do think it's good to recap it every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because this drug is not going away. Like I would even say that Ozempic is, I was thinking this when I was doing the segment, Ozempic's the biggest drug of the 20th century. I'm not sure there's a bigger one out there as far as like how popular it's become and how it's just consumed the media, both like in the medical aspect, in like the
Health and
pop
fitness,
culture, health and fitness.
Yep.
I mean, everything. This thing just dominates. So we are doing the Ozempic 2026 update, new data, and also a pill form, which is huge. Now, I don't know if you guys have been here since we've done a big Ozempic recap, because Kalee being pretty new, Brenna also, have we talked about Ozempic?
We have.
I have, okay.
Yeah,
All
like
right.
a couple times. The name is just so, I feel like it has such a big name, which is like great for on their end.
On
but
their brain, right?
Yeah.
Because really it's not just Ozempic.
It's
Right.
a whole bunch.
The proper term is GLP-1 agonist,
Yeah.
which then covers...
That's not as trendy. It's not
and
as.
it's kind of
it's
a
not as
mouthful.
memorable, yeah.
It's kind of a mouthful, too.
Semaglutide.
Yeah, it's not GLP-1 face, it's Ozempic face, right? Have you guys heard of that, right?
I
Ozempic?
have,
Yeah,
I
okay,
have.
all right, very good. All right, so we've talked about this a lot. So there's around 40 million Americans that are using GLP-1s, which is huge. That's like 10 to 15% of the populace. Originally started as a diabetes medication, which I think most people know that. A lot of people don't know it's been out for 20 years, though. It's been out since the early 2000s. And they figured out sometime in the kind of early teens that, hey, these patients are losing weight when they're taking this diabetes drug. So then it started being used for weight loss, and then it absolutely exploded in the last 5 years, like bigger than any drug I can think of. I mean, the other one that comes to mind is maybe Viagra when that hit the scene, and it was like, oh, whoa, this drug's great. Yeah, everyone, give it to everyone. So how does it work? Well, it works by slowing down how your stomach empties, right? So you won't eat as much, and it also directly targets the receptors that tell your brain that you're full. There are receptors for that. So it works in a couple ways. There's also triple-acting ones out now, like tirzepatide, which work even better. And how effective are these? Well, for your basic Ozempic, semaglutide, GLP-1, like the average is around 15% weight loss, which is pretty good. That means, like, say somebody comes in weighing 200 pounds, they can easily expect to drop 30 pounds. That's huge.
Yeah,
That's good. That's really
my
really...
sister-in-law has a TikTok and she does this.
Oh, does she really?
Her whole TikTok is about GLP-1.
Really?
And she has, I can't remember the exact number, but she's lost, I mean, it's got to be close to like
so we actually
80 pounds or something. I mean, she's lost a ton of weight. It could be more than that. I might be speaking out of turn. I should just text her real quick. But it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we offer this through my office. And so we've now seen tons of patients that have been using this. And we have some that have lost up to like 80 pounds, I think, maybe 60 to 80.
I'm going to keep talking.
Keep talking. You can find out. So, we now have some great experience seeing these patients. And there are newer versions where people are losing even more weight. Some of the triple-acting ones, people are losing up to 22% of body weight. And that's on average. That's not like the max. That's on average. And the benefits go way beyond the weight loss. Now,
78 pounds. I was really close.
You are close. That's really good. So the benefits go way beyond weight loss. Like there's the diabetes control aspect. The cardiovascular risk reduction, that is a real thing that people are less likely to have like heart attacks and strokes if they're using this medication. Blood pressure and lipid improvements, and then decrease in fatty liver disease. Now, these are the things that we already knew about. And each year when these studies would come out, because more and more people are taking this and they're studying this thing to death, like there are all of these new benefits that keep coming out. And the health benefits are enormous. Why? Well, when you're obese, you have all these health problems, and when you lose the weight, they go away.
Yeah.
So it all makes sense.
All of her labs from last year to this year she was in the yellows.
Yeah.
Like I don't know all the terminology, but
right.
they're all green now. Like all of them. And I'm not to cut you off, but I also was on tirzepatide from May of this past year to October because I've been pre-diabetic and I've had hypothyroidism. So
you probably were taking a lower dose because
very low. Yeah, was very low.
So at that low dose, did you notice any of the weight loss effects?
Oh, I lost 10 pounds in 4 weeks, which I didn't need to lose. But what else I lost, which I've had a struggle getting back, is my muscle. Like my body hurts all the time because I'm now having to build my muscle back up.
Right.
But that being said, I corrected my Hashimoto's, like my thyroid's fine.
Yeah.
And I also, because I learned how to eat on the shot, I know my blood sugar drops are almost non-existent. And I used to have blood sugar drops on a daily basis where I would get really crazy, hangry, start shaking, like feel really, really sick and about to pass out. Those are, and I'm not on it anymore. And
man, that's awesome.
So I'm a pro for this.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up the flip side of the coin when you were talking about what was the? Oh, your muscle loss. Sorry, I knew you mentioned. Yeah, muscle.
That's been a bad one.
Yeah.
For me.
So that's like a known issue with GLP-1s, and it's not like the GLP-1 specifically. It's just that when you decrease your caloric intake, you're going to lose fat mostly, but you are going to lose muscle. But there's ways to offset it. Even like minor resistance training with weights like offsets those downsides. And so, and I do think that although I'm a massive fan of these drugs, and I say that completely from the aspect of the benefits, not because we have it in our office. Like we don't make jack on giving people Ozempic. I mean, do we make a tiny bit of money? Sure. But it's not like I believe in this because like, oh, I'm getting rich hawking Ozempic. I'm not at all. It's just that, no, I mean, I want to be like completely transparent.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the positive data on these drugs, it's like overwhelming, but it is for people that need it, you know, and one of the downsides of Ozempic is there are now a lot of people that are taking it that really don't need it.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, they want to lose, you know, they take it, you took it for a medical reason, but there's people out there like, well, I need to lose 8 pounds, I'm going to take Ozempic.
Yeah.
And I don't really like that. Also,
well, it's going to come back right. Like all my like weight I lost came back, but it's fine.
Well,
I don't mind.
If you're using it for weight loss and you're going to someone like me, we help you through that.
Yeah.
I mean, but you were taking it for a different reason,
yes.
so you didn't get that added kind of informational aspect. But yeah, the other issue is that there's a tendency for the pendulum to swing too far. Ozempic face, that's real. I mean, people are losing so much weight that they're kind of getting an unhealthy look. And we talked about, I can't remember, there was some celebrity we talked about, just like, I think it was right before you came on the show, that I saw a picture and I was like, man, they don't look good. Because they were so skinny. Mm-hmm. Like they were just like almost looked malnourished. Mm-hmm. It was somebody really big too.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who it was. I can see your face.
I've had a little bit of filler, just like a little bit. As you get older, your face I'm not going to give this because he knows what he's talking about. But you thin and you become a little bit more hollow, and so filler helps that. But Ozempic makes that go faster, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so I'm correct in that statement.
Weight loss.
Look at me.
Weight loss in general makes you look older.
Yeah.
I mean, without question, that is definitely the not talked about downside. That when you lose weight and like your face hollows and your skin starts sagging, like, and not just your face, but like your breasts, your arms, your tummy, it makes you look older. Yeah. You know, and there's also been a big noticeable rise in body contouring in the past few years. Why? Because people were losing weight. You know, we talked about this the other day when we were talking about the men in plastic surgery. It's like, I do tummy tucks on men now pretty commonly. You never saw that. You know, and now you do because they're losing that weight. But I do want to talk about the new developments real quick because we are recapping for 2026. So an Ozempic pill was just released. Pretty big news. Now, a couple things. It's daily pill, all right? So it's not weekly like the shot. So you got to keep that in mind. It's not quite as effective as the shot, but it's pretty darn close. It's like, in the studies I looked at, around 90% is effective. So you're still getting a good amount of weight.
What about the side effects?
Basically the same from what I know, but it's brand new.
Yeah.
You know, so you're looking at the very first study, which kind of approved it.
Yeah.
But I think this is big because there's a lot of people out there that don't like to take injections. The injections are also a little bit more complicated. They have to be kept refrigerated. So there's like an extra layer of complexity to it versus a pill where it's just like, oh, I take the pill in the morning. Like this is going to be a big deal. Like the fact that they've got a pill form of this is pretty big. Other developments, they're still talking about the risk of pancreatitis. That is a very, very small risk with the use of GLP-1s. My opinion is related to the fact that if you take a lot of a GLP-1, it's going to affect the way that your bile flows through your common bile duct, which then goes into your pancreas, which if that gets clogged up, you can get pancreatitis. To me, it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably higher risk if you're taking extreme doses or you don't have like a doctor helping you, in your journey. The other thing, there's the question of there's an association with optic neuropathy. This is kind of a new thing. The data is still kind of coming out on that. It's not like a smoking gun or anything. It's just like, oh, we need to look in this to see if there's a link.
What does that mean?
Optic neuropathy, basically you can get issues with your vision due to inflammation of the optic nerve.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of a big deal if it happens. But it's not it's not like suddenly there's been, hundreds of patients. Yeah. It's like there's some cases of optic neuropathy that they notice people are using GLP-1s and they're trying to figure out if
what the connection is.
Yeah, and there may not be one.
Yeah.
But they're trying to figure that out. They have decided there's no link with suicidal ideation, which was something that was talked about in the past year. It was looked at and studied. It's like, okay, that's not an issue.
What about the blood pressure medicine? Wasn't there like a connection with that, or am I making that up?
Well, GLP-1s decrease your blood pressure. It's not a blood pressure medication, but the weight loss always decreases your blood pressure. Okay, yeah, it must be something else I'm thinking of. So what's the future for GLP-1 in 2026? I think it's going to be the pill wars. every company is going to come out with a pill. They're going to get better and better. So you're going to see that a lot. I do think it's being overused. I mean, people, even at the Grammys, like this past week, people were like, oh, this is just like an Ozempic fest because, so many people had lost so much weight and like, even if they weren't taking Ozempic, the internet's like, everyone's taking Ozempic. I personally would like to see it be reeled in a bit. I do have concerns with people that want to lose 5 pounds taking Ozempic. I have concerns about people who go too far and get malnourished looking from taking Ozempic. Yeah. I mean, there is such a thing of, too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but some interesting news. I think we did in last January or February a Ozempic 2025, and we have some new data now. It's kind of interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right. So, Ozempic in 2026, we talk about this every year because this drug has just become so mainstream. Everyone's talking about it, from doctors to social media influencers to celebrities. It is everywhere. I think it is by far the most influential drug of the 21st century, sorry. Just only off by a century. Because it's just hit the Americas by storm. So what's new? Well, big news. Just this past month, they released a pill form of Ozempic. Now, it's not weekly, it is a daily pill that you take, but you avoid having to stick yourself with a shot, which a lot of people appreciate. And also it avoids some of the complexity because you have to refrigerate the injectable Ozempic or semaglutide. Now, it's almost as effective as the shot. It's something around 85-90% as effective, so that's good. So that is the big news. No smoking guns in the last year as far as downsides. I still think that Ozempic is a fantastic medication because of all of the enormous health benefits to your heart, your kidneys, and your liver. The kidney stuff is kind of new in the past year, which is great. Now, I do think it is being abused slightly. I'm not a big fan of people taking Ozempic to lose 5 pounds, and I worry when the pendulum swings too far and people get malnourished. That is happening. But this drug isn't going away, so we're going to keep trying to keep you as up to date on it as possible. So, all right. All right, Brenda, I know this is a segment you were looking forward to.
Yes, I'm ready.
The morning shed. Yeah, TikTok trends. So, TikTok trends are a thing these days, and now news articles will pop up about a TikTok trend, and this is one of them. It's called the morning
I'm sorry.
shed.
So
I know,
good.
it's ridiculous,
So
right? And, this is like targeting teens, which is why we're talking about it, because this is obviously on platforms that are dominated by teens and young people. And it's kind of influencers telling teens that they need to do this, and are there risks with that? So even though this is kind of silly, I think it's worth talking about. So what is the morning shed? Well, it's a routine of numerous non-specific and sometimes specific skincare products that are applied at night, along with curlers, sheet masks, chin wraps, adhesive wrinkle tape. Everything is put on at night, and then you wear it overnight, and you take it off in the morning, and that's the morning shed. And there's videos of people looking glamorous when they take all this stuff off.
It can be satisfying, like certain
watching the video. Yeah, right. I mean,
it's like teens just think that they're in their skincare era, and it's like,
all right, well, we're gonna talk about
that,
but
you
guys are in luck.
Definitely.
I know, Kalee, you haven't seen this yet.
I haven't.
So I'm gonna show you the video. This is the one that's kind of the most popular. You've probably seen this, Brenna. Roll that video, the morning shed.
Word on the streets, baddies are going to bed looking like this now. Girl, what? You don't have a morning shred routine? No, not okay. Come with me. Let me show you how I do this entire thing. Girl, you gotta get yourself one of these. I hope I'm about to pronounce this correctly. We're gonna use a Pacific green tea collagen mask. Yeah. This is the #1 ingredient to your morning shred. It feels so good already. It's a little bit scary. I feel like every it girl just has to have this. Just wait till you wake up and your skin looks porcelain. I cannot live without this. Baddies let their hair air dry. Come on now. So I'm gonna spray some of this Lush leave-in conditioner in my hair. It smells so freaking good. Lips back in. I know you know about this one. Lip stain. I've used this before, but we have a new shade today. Pinked 03. I'm sorry, girl, but you haven't lived until you try lip stain. She's a game changer. Moving on to heatless curls. My fave. Clip this hoe on. When I tell you your hair is gonna look like you just got a blowout, like, no bitch, I just slept in heatless curls. This is the ultimate lazy girl hack, seriously. Sorry, this is not gonna be the most aesthetic. Gonna use a little scrunchie, scrunch it up. This is the fun part. Yeah, ladies, we're wearing a chin strap to bed, okay? Do you want that jawline snatched or not? Come on. This is so wild. Like, this is the part that makes me look insane. And we're just gonna strap her on. I'm so excited about this. I can like barely talk right now. I just got this on Amazon. Of course it's pink. Oh my god, was I supposed to do the chin strap and then this? Oh shit. Girl, I don't even know my own routine. My bad. I hope my hair looks really nice when I wake up. I'm so excited. I've actually never tried this yet. I'm just gonna finish it up with some lash serum. Your girl wants long lashes for summer. Come on now. And the morning shred is complete. Come to part 2 where I take this all off in the morning.
So there's that. I mean,
okay.
I don't know. To me, this is pure theater. Like,
well, yeah, it's obvious because she didn't even know what to do with the chin thing.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
she
this is
honestly doesn't really do this, but she did.
Yeah, this is performance
Yeah.
for clicks. That's now become a news story that's being picked up by news organizations.
Well,
I'm actually doing an interview with the media about this
Really?
exact thing later today. Yeah.
Now, but I do know that the face mask, the what is this bonnet situation, that is also a thing.
Yeah.
And then I just washed my face with soap, like actual bar of soap, still at the age of 41 or 40.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Well, and so I think,
just an FYI.
and I think one of the reasons that we talk about this is because, I mean, this is kind of targeting teens and young people. And like speaking from the scientific, doctor, aesthetic, I have a med spa and a plastic surgeon side, like teens don't need to be doing this. You know, we actually did a whole segment on teen skincare, and it's been like a year or two. And, you know, cutting to the chase on that, for teens, I do think it's critically important that teens, if they want to take care of the skin, they should get into a skincare routine young, but simplicity is key. Cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen.
Yeah.
Like,
and drink water.
Obviously, yeah, hydration is obviously good. That's really good. You're very accurate on that. That being hydrated is really good for your skin.
And isn't it good to just like put water on your face in the morning and let it dry? Like, don't use a towel to dry it. Just let it like soak in. Or is that something I've made up? Because I do that.
I don't want to say you made it up, but I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe I should do a TikTok video on like how I just let the water.
I mean, moisturizer is key. Moisturizing your skin is critically important. And so, like, the moisturizers soak in to your skin and give the benefit versus just flushing it with water, right? But my worry, I have a couple worries about this, right? With this being targeted to kids. And again, I think that this is all theater. This got blown up. I don't think a lot of people are really doing this, but some might. And the concern is, one, that a teen thinks they need to do all this nonsense to like have self-value, right? Like if you're not doing the morning shed, then you're just like a drag, which obviously is not correct. So there's that concern. But then again, like putting all those products on your skin as a teen and then applying like those gel sheets that like give me the Hannibal Lecter vibes.
No, that's what got me.
Like that's bad for your skin.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
they have
good
them
for
at
your
like
skin.
Five Below. Like you don't know what those are made of. But what got me on that video is I actually have that exact lip stain that she used.
Really?
Yeah, but I do it like when I'm doing my makeup. Like she slept in it, and that's what really
Like,
had
you-
me.
I don't think she really did though.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
but
true.
She's portraying that you
Like,
should.
Yeah.
I just feel like she's doing
telling
too
people
much, and
that
she
they
didn't have
should.
any acne.
That thing has millions of views
Yeah.
and like 900,000 likes. Like people are watching that, and I think a lot of people do see it as just theater, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this girl, you know, like her whole mannerisms and stuff are just theater."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of the attraction to the video is just the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
But you don't want a 12 or 13-year-old to think that, hey, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
Like I need to do this, otherwise I'm going to look, 80 years old in 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the concern. It's kind of, we live in a weird time where, and we've done so many segments on a TikTok video that becomes a story in the New York Post or wherever, and then some people are asking about it. It's like, you got to do a segment on the fact that someone did a TikTok video, right? Because then you get copycats.
It's the time.
It is the time.
It is
it's
the
weird.
time.
Yeah. But I think, and the kind of the final point I would say is like, parents need to be involved in social media monitoring their kids. And I don't mean like put spyware on there, but if you see your kid doing something weird, like it might be worth asking, where did you see that?
Yeah.
Is this really good? Right? And the
Should
kids
we do
hate
this?
that. But I mean, we got to watch out for our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different times.
It is.
So,
Wild.
okay. All right, the morning shed. Have you seen this on TikTok? It's the new viral trend that is kind of targeting teens, which I don't like. It's a ridiculous theater performance of applying multiple products at night with gel sheets, look like Hannibal Lecter, curlers, chin straps. I don't even know what half these things are, but I do know that they're not good for you to sleep in overnight, and especially if you're a teen. We've actually done segments on teen skincare routines, which are very, very important, but they should be very simple. Cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen. That's all they should use, unless they do have some diagnosed medical issue with their skin, which then should see a dermatologist. But yeah, this is theater, this is performative. The morning shed is not real. I mean,
I really like the name though.
It is a very interesting name. I do agree. So yeah, the morning shed. Please don't do this. If you see your kids doing this, you probably need to talk to them. We as parents really need to be, watching what our kids do, because these TikTok viral trends are real. So cool. All right, Kalee.
Kaylee's morning shed is just a little bit of water.
Good to see you. Brenda, thanks for weighing in.
Absolutely.
As always, you're a
Thank
rock star.
you.
Both you girls are. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment, because we will do any segment that you want us to. I'm not kidding. Put a comment there. I'll do it next week on the next episode of Nip Talk. Bye.